province. Well, for more on that, we're joined now by Abdul-Hussain, Research Fellow at the Foundation for the Defence of Democracies, the FDD. Great to have you with us, Hussain. And one of the upsides of the agreement between Riyadh and Tehran, the kind of silver lining, if you like, was that it had the potential to end the war in Yemen. Do you see it that way?
No, I don't. Actually, this is how agreements with Iran go. So right after JCPOA, Iran went on to try an experiment on ballistic missiles. And at the time, the U.S. was embarrassed and said that Iran violated the spirit of the agreement, though not the text. And in December 2021, the third person in command in the UAE, Sheikh Tahnoun, visited Iran. In January, the Houthis hit the UAE with missiles. So there's a pattern wherein Iran enters into agreements, but a few weeks after that, as if the agreement doesn't exist. And what Iran does is that it says, okay, well, we have not violated the agreement because this part has always been outside the agreement. So I think this is what's going on in Yemen. The Iranians are trying to assert that whatever agreement they had with the Saudis in China does not cover whatever's going on now in Yemen.
Well, presumably the main priority for Saudi Arabia was to calm the tensions in Yemen. Will Saudi Arabia accept this? Could it call off the rapprochement?
Well, at this point, it seems that the Saudis would be happy to see Houthis not target Saudi Arabia itself like they used to do over the past few years. If war breaks out again in Yemen, I think the Saudis will continue to fight a proxy war without getting directly involved, but they will still support the government that's recognized by the international community to stand up to the Houthis and push them back.
Now, if Saudi Arabia was to end its military operations in Yemen, that wouldn't mean an end to the conflict, would it?
Well, it wouldn't, and I think the Houthis have a certain idea of how this conflict ends, and it ends with the Houthis just running over the whole country and governing it. And this is telling by their media. And I think the Iranians support this idea, replicating the model of Iran in Yemen. And I don't think the Saudis and the Iranians discussed this, or at least they didn't discuss it comprehensively. And the Iranians don't think that any developments in Yemen fall under the agreement between them and the Saudis that took place in Beijing.
So again, would the Saudis accept a Houthi-run state on their doorstep?
Well, it seems to me that if they accept, they'll accept that on the condition that this Houthi state does not really target them or does not engage them in any kind of military confrontation. But other than that, I don't see that the Saudis have enough leverage over the Iranians or over the Houthis. If the Houthis decide to run over and take the country, the only card that the Saudis have is to keep on supporting their allies inside of Yemen to push back the Houthis. And keep in mind that the Emiratis too have a more powerful player, more powerful than the Saudis, a more powerful militia in Aden in the south. And this militia also is not part of the agreement between the Saudis and the Iranians. So what we see is that these big players in Yemen are still not covered by any rapprochement, whether between Saudi Arabia and Iran or whether between the UAE and Iran. And judging by the UAE-Iran experience, because we know that the UAE and Iran have had diplomatic relations, but despite these diplomatic relations, the proxies in Yemen have been fighting, and they never stopped except for the brief truce that we've had over the past 8 months.
Well, right, and from what you're telling me, it would appear that you don't think that UN-backed truce, which expired in October, can be renewed.
Well, it can be renewed if the Houthis think that they have an interest in renewing it. By scanning the Houthi media, I think now they're demanding that all the ports be relieved and removed from under siege. And if this doesn't happen, they will start attacking the ports of the non-Houthi areas. So I think they're now ready for escalation. And I don't see that the UN has any tools to force them to stop.
Abdul-Hussain at the FDD, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks for having me on.